Hey, lifers, and welcome to another episode of Because Life Can Be a Niche podcast. Thank you so much for coming into the living room with me and riding with us, doing life with us. We so appreciate you. If you are listening to this podcast, then first of all, thank you. And we appreciate you and value you. But we would love for you to come on over and pop on our YouTube channel, Life Can Be a Niche, and take a look and watch, catch some of the past videos. The interaction there is a little bit more on the video side of the house, but we're grateful wherever you are. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube right now, thank you, thank you, thank you. All I ask is that maybe you subscribe if you haven't done so yet. We would love to see our subscribers go up. Share it with your friends. Share it with those that you know who may enjoy this content. You know what we talk about, life, because it can be a niche and it's everything. Relationships, parenting for me, a mom of boys, divorce, life after divorce, dating after divorce. There's so many things that we touch on that are just all across the board, but life nonetheless. And we appreciate you for that. Now, you know, we normally do a tea of the episode, but I don't have a tea with me. I am actually looking for tea suggestions. So for those of you who are tea connoisseurs, you know that I love my loose leaf teas. That's just like my thing. Just give me some loose leaf tea and give me some amber rock sugar, and you got a happy girl. I mean, I like my coffee too, but tea just gets me all the way over the moon. And so if you have any suggestions, fall is here. I've seen a lot coming out. I think I saw something with cinnamon in it. Tivana had something advertised with some cinnamon. I might give that a try. But your suggestions are more than welcome. Please send them along. As always, if you're on social media, writing with us, at Katie Bryant Writes is how you get in touch with us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then the blog, Life Unfolding, is on my website, katiebryantwrites.com. Click on the blog, Life Unfolding, and you'll see some different kind of content there. Would love to have you and see you there as well. So, not going to prolong this. You guys know that we have been doing the pandemic revelation series, and it's all of the things that we have learned from being in the pandemic, or that we've grown through, or that we're understanding now. I always said that the pandemic is about much more than the illness and the sickness and unfortunately the loss of life. There is something spiritual at work here as well, and it's a global timeout and a time for us to really get out of the pandemic everything that we can get and learn. But you don't want to get COVID, so we want to get everything out of it during this time except sick, for sure, and prayers and love to those who are dealing with loss, or who have battled coronavirus, or, you know, constantly exposed, perhaps, especially our frontline and essential workers. So thank you so much for what you're doing with that as well. But I want to talk about some other things that the pandemic that has come out of that, and the timing of everything. So we talked about a pandemic birth a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, with Cherie Denise. So if you missed that episode, please go back and check that out, about giving birth in a pandemic, and it's birthing your gifts and what's in you, or what God has called you to do. It's a really powerful episode. We also talked about making your dreams come true, and being an entrepreneur, starting your business, how you can make money in a pandemic. We talked with beauty maven, fashion diva, Davita, and she just poured out how she, even though she's a service provider providing beauty and lashes and fashion and all the things that are very up close and personal, she's actually worked harder in the pandemic than she had been before. So check that out if you have an opportunity. And then we sat down with filmmaker, author, TV show producer, and creator, Keisha Lee. and follow her at Keisha Lee TV. And we talked with that about everything from mommyhood guilt to stepping out, taking a leap of faith, stepping out on your dreams and going forward, and how you can really, first of all, she has a book, Making Films on Your Mobile Device. But beyond that, just how you get past mommy guilt, how you get past, your timeline that you had that you think, well, you've missed your window, which there's no such thing, you have not. And we just really got into it with a lot of subjects that hit us all, men and women. But we even got into, like I said, a little bit of the mommyhood guilt. But one thing that has really been sitting on my heart this week that I really want to just pop on quickly to talk about is all of these episodes, we talked about self-love and self-care and taking care of yourself and doing as much as you can for yourself. But I want to talk about taking care of your mental health and the wellness there, and what I've learned, and even what I'm seeing in this pandemic now as well. And that is something that is very special to me, and it's close to my heart. One, this is the week of the anniversary of my father's death. I shared with you all that my dad passed away 2 years ago, October 27th. So just a couple of days ago, I went to the gravesite, put flowers out there, and talked to him, and really dealt with the feelings there, and it just reminded me of what I did to really take care of myself mentally to get through that. I was a daddy's girl, and I'm a mama's girl too. I was just a parent's girl. I'm the only kid. I mean, really. So, I mean, I was with both of them equally, but I was very close to my father, and I relied on his advice and his wisdom and his support in everything. And I think I shared early on the episode, or in an early episode that I did about grieving, that I actually started grieving my dad's death or the loss about a year before my dad actually passed away. He didn't lose his battle. He died from colon cancer, but he won the battle. So I'm not going to say lost. But a year before that, before we even knew that he may not even be here another year, I was feeling like a lot of pressure, and I was being pulled in a lot of different directions. I mentioned I'm a mom of 2 boys. I am divorced. I am, running the household and juggling so many things. And then on top of that, supporting my parents and making sure that they got to the doctor's appointments and to the chemotherapy and through surgeries or whatever it was, supporting my mom in my mom was the primary caregiver, but I definitely supported her and was also a caregiver for my father as well. And I had a lot going on at work. I work full time. I'm grateful for that, to even be able to say, yes, I'm still working full time. And just parenting. And it was just a lot. So I decided that I needed to get some counseling and to get myself together to make sure I was understanding my feelings and what I was going through, and to do something for me proactively, because I knew my dad was very sick, but at that time, I didn't know that we would lose him in a year. But I needed to sit down and just pour out and talk to someone other than my mom, because, I mean, she's going through and dealing with pretty much the same thing. If you think about it, if you're in a situation where you're caregiving and your spouse or your significant other is a caregiver, it's a lot everybody's already dealing with. So I'm not going to sit down. As much as I share with my mom, I wasn't going to add that to her plate. I knew I needed to talk to someone who was outside of the situation that we were going through. And my kids are, I mean, at the time, like 11 and 10 or something like that. So it's not like I was going to talk to them. And it's weird, even in my support circle and my friends, and I have a strong foundation. My cousins who were always there and supportive, and my friends who, everybody was like sisters to me. But it's weird calling them and saying, hey, girl, you got 45 minutes. Let me tell you what I've been feeling, what I'm going through. That's just not how it goes, and so I decided for my health and for my mental strength and stability that I needed to get some support and to talk to someone. And I know that in our community, in the African American community, it is becoming more common now. And I'm so glad to hear people say, it's nothing wrong with getting counseling. It's nothing wrong with getting some help. It's nothing wrong with talking to someone about how you're feeling or what you're going through outside of your family and close knit friends. And I'm glad that that stigma is, slowly melting away. I know that it's still, out there, but I'm here to say I'm a proponent of counseling services, psychology, psychiatrists, whatever you need. I'm a fan of getting on somebody's couch and stretching out and running my mouth about what I'm going through. It is so important. And I signed up for myself and also signed my kids up for counseling as well. And with them, it was really more of my kids were still dealing with uh, the divorce and the state of where we stand as a family in different houses. So they were dealing with some different things, and then also dealing with my father's illness, and because he was with me and my mom, they stayed with me in my home and did chemo close to the Atlanta area. So it just made sense for them to be there. So it was really like they were living with us for the 4 years that he battled this. Of course, they would come home and spend time at home for maybe a week or two. But for the majority of the time, especially those last couple of years, they were there a lot through all dad's surgeries and when he got sick or whatever he was dealing with. So that, strengthened the bond between them even more. And I knew it was hard for them to see my dad not as strong or resting more or not outside, teaching them four square or some playing basketball with them. They were experiencing a loss and at the time. And in going through therapy, I learned that I was grieving the loss of my dad long before he was gone, because I was also grieving the loss of his strength and the man that I knew as a little girl growing up, and even as a grown woman, um, just getting weaker and not as strong, and me having to kind of the roles change. I was really supporting him more and driving him, which, my dad always said, a woman ain't gonna drive me nowhere. But this woman had to end up driving him because he was, on medication, and he shouldn't have been out there driving on medication. So I did end up driving him and doing stuff like that. So it just made sense that I was feeling some type of way. I didn't know what it was exactly, but I knew that it was something that needed to be talked about. And as I sat here, this week and realized, how we've gotten through our first year of this, first birthday, first this, first that, you know, I realized that getting through your first doesn't necessarily mean you're over anything. It doesn't mean that you've gotten past it. You just deal with it a little differently. But there are moments when I just feel it, and I feel the loss, and I'm watching the news and I'm like, oh man, wonder what Daddy would say about this, because he had so many strong opinions about so many things. And it hit me that there are people who are going through things now in this pandemic, and you may be feeling some type of way, and you don't really know why. You're reasonably comfortable, maybe you're reasonably happy, but there is a loss or a change, and we're all going through that. And that's what made me just say, I want to just sit down and talk about the value of getting some help, or talking to someone, or talking through how you're feeling. Unfortunately, there have been people who have taken their lives even during this pandemic, because either the isolation, or the loss of a job, or just not really knowing, the loss of hope even, and not really knowing, or having this uncertainty that's looming over all of us, and it's so heavy. And it does affect your psyche, it affects your mental state. And I say, in addition to prayer and meditation, which is my regimen for staying as close to sane as I can, I guess, define it, um, it is still something that I've even noticed that I've been feeling, not being able to travel, and not being able to go on vacation. And, it's not like we were jet setting all over the world. I mean, it's not like I had my kids, over in Tibet hiking up some mountain or something like that. It's just literally a day trip, or going to the mountains, or going to the beach. Those, we canceled everything, because everything was happening at the height of this stuff. So spring break, I think everything closed in March, and then spring break came in April. The trip for April was closed. First of all, the resort that we were going to is a mountain resort, and it closed temporarily, and so that canceled those plans. And then the beach trip, which we try to do a beach trip every year, and that was a bust. And then it's just everything. Even when we tried to reschedule the beach trip, or try to find a more quiet beach, people got hip to that. So all the quiet, more private beaches that may not have as many people were all booked. So we didn't get to do that. And it's kind of like everything, the things that you go to, or that you do, getting your nails done, getting your hair done. I posted like a week or so ago, I literally just got my hair done. Maybe last week before last, for the first time this year, I think. I don't think I've been to the salon uh, in 2020, because I was curly girl the beginning of the year, and just letting it go curly, and not knowing, or not realizing, that I wouldn't be able to get out like I wanted to in March. And then here March came, and here we are in October, and I literally just got my hair like blown out and like flat ironed, which is like, who would think that you would go 10 months without going to a salon? And for women, that's a place, where you get pampered, you get your hair done, get your scalp massaged, and you come out feeling better, looking better. Because as much as I have embraced having to do my own hair, it does not come out the way my stylist, got a shout out, Babs Barber Sheets Barber and Beauty, doesn't come out like how my hair never comes out the way it does when she does it. So those things are getting manicures, even getting massages. I've heard people saying they're starting to get back into that. I haven't quite gotten my mind around letting someone touch me on a massage table in a spa. And because I just wonder, like, okay, am I going to wear a mask? Or, I mean, when I put my face in that hole, am I going to have a mask on while I do that? That just seems, it just doesn't seem productive to me. Go in to relax, and then I'm masked up. and trying to breathe through a mask. I just don't really like that idea at all. So haven't done that. And the kids are feeling it. They're like, "Oh, mom, we were supposed to do this. We were supposed to go there." Even museum trips, I shared on a post, and maybe even in a podcast episode, that I like museums, and I love going to, the art museums are great because you're not supposed to touch anything in there unless it's some kind of interactive exhibit. You don't put your hands on paintings or sculptures or things like that. But there are other museums where you want to go and you want to touch things and you want to touch the screens, and the learning museums and the science centers and everything. So even that I have been cautious about. One, because we have some compromised immune systems in my house. So we're very careful. But in being careful, we pretty much canceled everything that was probably a release or a place to relieve stress or a place to just woo-saw or you just kind of decompress. So I made sure that I had someone to talk to and that my children did as well. And it has been a wonderful, necessary, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner thing. I sit there now, in the pandemic, and I'm actually, looking for another counselor now because the one we had moved out of the state. And I was thinking, man, I should have been doing this long before my dad got sick, long before I felt the pressure of being pulled in so many different directions. This probably would have been a good thing for me when I was feeling the pressure of being a new mom, or when I was exhausted, or when I was dealing with so much calamity at, a job that I was on, and the people that I was working with who were just, whew. But then I'm like, maybe if I talked to somebody, I would have figured out, is it me? Is it them? Is it both of us? I don't know. I just know that it would have been so helpful to have that then. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. And I am having this is a lighthearted conversation, but a serious one at the same time. If you're going through, if you're yet holding on, but you feel the pressure, you feel the weight, or you feel some type of way, we use that a lot loosely. I'm feeling some type of way about something. And sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's just, a feeling that triggers something, or it may be something deeper or something a little bit more heavy. Now is the time to, especially in this pandemic season, especially as we get closer to the holidays, and we know how the holidays can affect us all in different ways. And now we're all dealing with going into yet another season of a pandemic that is still not fully understood, definitely not under control, and loss for those of us. I've personally experienced loss with the pandemic and with COVID. I know people, my mom knows people, I have friends, I have family. We're losing people. So even going in to the holiday season, it's heavier. It can't help but be a little heavier, a little weightier, and still not having really relief or some type of plan or answer, because we still don't know what it looks like. I'm got my kids virtually learning. That in itself could qualify alone for sitting on somebody's couch. Or since I'm not going out like that, getting online and having a video session with a counselor. But now's the time. If you are in a faith community and you're your church offers counseling services as a part of their ministry, I encourage it to do that. Or if your job, look through your benefits and see what's available. I know with mine, it's like the first 8 sessions are free, and then it's a very low cost after that. And there are also services out there that are free. So it's not like you can't get access or it's too expensive. I think people used to think that, like, oh, I can't afford to pay someone so many dollars an hour to sit on a couch to talk about my problems. That'll cause me problems trying to pay the bill. But that mental health is definitely something that is on the forefront now, and something that is more widely accepted, more widely discussed, and definitely more readily available for those who feel like you just need to talk to someone. And do that for yourself, do that for your children. um, it has helped them because they're not socializing with friends, they're not in school, so they're not seeing anyone. And it helps, it really helps to talk to someone. And I will share with you that I thought I knew my kids. I really did. I thought hands down, I know what this one's going to do, and I know what that one's going to do, and I know what they're thinking. And surprisingly, you could have really knocked me over with a feather when I found out that what I thought they thought and what I thought they felt was different. Was different. I wasn't even on the right street, let alone I wasn't even in the right neighborhood as to which kid would deal with this one way and which kid would deal with this another way. I just knew, like, oh, I know this kid's gonna be able to. Oh, he's not gonna worry, but that's not gonna impact him like that. And it was the complete opposite of what I thought. And it was them talking to an objective person outside of the home in a safe space, that they were able to talk to the counselor about that and then come back and share with me. But it's something that I never would have even expected to learn about that. So it's important. And if you are going through, or you're feeling uncomfortable, or you're just feeling alone, or you're feeling like, hey, I'm kind of good, but I could stand to sit down and just talk through some things, or I'm about to go into something new, and I'm about to embark on an adventure that is going to be bigger than what I thought I would be doing, just because, we're in a pandemic. If you ready to create something big, now's the time to do it. But if you're about to embark on a new business, or you're about to start or relocate or leave the country, or whatever has been birthed in you, and you feel like, okay, this is something, a complete change, I encourage and I promote having a seat and talking with someone about it. It is not necessarily, like I said, I was dealing with the loss of my dad's ability, which was, deep seated, also grieving in advance. But I really could have used the counseling to get me through so many other things prior to that, and to sit down and really talk about it. So that is it. That is what I say. I'm looking at you right now. If you know that you are feeling some type of way, or uncomfortable, or a little uneasy, um, it's no shame at all in getting some help. That is it, you guys. I just wanted to open my heart up and be as transparent as I possibly could and share that with you. Get in the comments. I'm going to drop some information in the show notes. I know that October is, I think, World Mental Health Day was October 10th, if I'm not mistaken. So October is a month that we do focus on so many things, but focus on you. Before we get into, those of us in the Americas, before we get into the holiday season, before we get into the Thanksgivings and the Christmas where you would be traveling and going to be around family, and maybe you're not, or maybe you can't, or maybe you've lost someone. Now's the time. Now is the time to get someone to talk to. It's perfectly okay. Thank you guys for riding with us, doing life with us, coming on this journey with us. We so value you and appreciate you. Make sure you get in the comments. Tell us what you think. Share your thoughts. If you have resources that you would like to share, please do that as well. We are a family. Like I say, we're doing life together as a family. So, hey, come on, let's help each other out. Check on people. Check on your loved ones, check on your friends, just, a text or a phone call, but make sure that you're checking in with your folks and making sure that they're good, because that is important. And just because someone's smiling and posting on Instagram and Facebook does not mean that that's how life is dealing with them right now. It still doesn't hurt to check on them and talk to people. Pick up the phone. Now's the time to really pick up the phone or FaceTime or whatever it is that you do to communicate. Lay eyes on people. Even if you can't get to them, try to see them and really talk to people and take care of them. Get at us on social media at Katie Bryant Writes, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please, please, please join the conversation. Life Unfolding, the blog, KatieBryantWrites.com. Would love to have you there. And send me your tea suggestions. Now it's time to get some good tea. That I'm actually going to get a cup of tea in a few minutes because it's just been one of those days. But make sure that you are always, always good to yourselves and good to each other. And I will see you when I see you.